I'm Quinn Wisson from Vertical Measures, and I'm here hosting VM's monthly webinar series. Today's webinar is titled Penguin 2.0 Recovery, a Walkthrough, and will be presented by our very own Vice President of Client Services at Vertical Measures, Mike Huber. Possessing over 20 years' experience in marketing and advertising, Mike started out in newspaper advertising and has worked in online marketing for the past 15 years. Mike has been involved with the development of organic SEO tactics and extensive PPC programs that have increased revenue and traffic significantly for clients. But before we get started and I hand over the presentation, just let me take care of a couple notes. Today's webinar will be available for replay by tomorrow afternoon. We'll be sending everyone an email with a recording so you can get the slides and also the video. We'll also be happy to answer any of your questions. So if you do have anything to ask Mike after his presentation, look at your software for the webinar, and there's a little question applet, and that's where you can ask your questions, and we'll get to them after the presentation. You can also tweet us with the hashtag VMWebinar, and we'll get them there as well. Any questions we don't get to, we'll be sure to try and answer via email. If you're having any technical difficulties, please attempt to reconnect. So with that housekeeping complete, I will hand it off to Mike Huber.
Good morning, everyone. Mike here. As Quinn mentioned, today's webinar is about recovering from Penguin. It's actually a walkthrough of the steps, and we'll take an overview on the tools that we use, the actual process, how to use the disavow tool, and sending in a reconsideration request. So along with the process, I'll share some tools with you. Some of the tools I'll share are free, and others require a subscription. So my hope is, in attending this webinar, that you understand the process better, you learn about some of the tools that you can use, and that you actually have action steps that you can take to help you improve your rankings. So the big question is, how did we get here in the first place? And it seems like in the last couple of years, webmasters and SEO companies have been playing whack-a-mole with Google with all of the Penguin and Panda updates that there have been. So consider that there's been 4 Penguin updates and 27 updates for Panda. So there's a lot going on in terms of search and algorithm changes. And this next slide here shows the 27 Panda updates, and they're ongoing. And this shows the 4 Penguin updates. So really what you want to try to do before you really get started on a Penguin recovery is to really understand what has impacted your website. So part of what we're going to talk about is, how to identify which penalty, if you have one, or which algorithm is actually affecting your website. So one of the things you want to do is, how can you tell if you've been affected? The easy way is that you received a notice in your webmaster tools, maybe that you've noticed you've had a drop in the rankings, or you've noticed that you have a drop in your traffic. So it's really important to note what's impacted your site. You want to make sure that you're solving the right problem. And with all the updates and the tweaks that Google's been making, you want to make sure that you're identifying the right problem. So what happens, what caused your traffic drop? If you haven't received a manual penalty, it could be really as simple as some of the sites that are pointing links to you have actually lost their link juice and their rankings, so they're not boosting your site like they have been in the past. Sometimes it's really easy to tell what's happened with your traffic. If you have analytics set up, you might actually look and see where there's been a drop in traffic, and that correlates exactly to one of the updates that have happened. You may have received the dreaded webmaster's email that says that you have unnatural inbound links. So those are 2 easy ways to tell, but the fact of the matter is there have been lots of updates recently. So we have Panda and Penguin, Phantom, the Pirate update. There's been an above the fold update. It could be a manual penalty, and in fact you may have done some recent website updates and design changes that have impacted your site. the future holds more of this. The web spam team is relentless. They keep dialing up the heat. So I think that moving forward, webmasters really need to focus on things that are going to make your site better and rank better in the search engines. So I know a lot of webmasters have done a really great job of creating great content, but some have taken some shortcuts and they've built links. And the type of links that provided really good link juice and positive results in the last 6 months, maybe they don't work anymore. And a lot of things that we've done in terms of building links over the last few years, they either don't work anymore or they might negatively impact your site. One of the things you want to do is to find out, like I mentioned, exactly what is impacting your site. This is a free tool. It's called fruition.net, and really all you have to do is type in your URL to get this information. And what the tool will show you is a correlation between the update dates and your traffic. So if there's a green dot, it shows that you actually were positively impacted. If there's a red dot, it shows that there's been some negative impact, and it actually correlates to one of the updates. Another tool that you can use to help you identify the problem is called the Penguin tool. The Penguin tool actually just does an overlay of the Google updates across your analytics traffic data. So you can see the correlation between the updates and any dips that you might have in traffic. So both of these tools are actually free, and you can use them. They're really simple to use. The other thing that you might want to do is if you have gotten a manual penalty, you might want to do a search in Google for site : your website name. And what that will do is it will give you an indication of how many pages you still have indexed in Google. So for some people with a manual penalty, they'll find 0 results. And for others that might have a manual penalty, you'll still see some of your pages coming up. So what do you do next? You want to analyze your backlinks. If you have overall optimized anchor text, chances are they're your main money keywords. You can do a Google check to see if these keywords are still ranking. You also want to look to see if you have spammy links that are pointing to your website. And one of the things that we find in a lot of cases is that our clients have site-wide links pointing to them. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, some of the techniques that we used to use years ago for link building actually have a negative impact. There was a time when you got a site-wide link that you were really excited because you had so many pages pointing to your website. That's not the case anymore. So you want to look for over-optimized anchor text. You want to try to dilute that if you can. And then here are some of the specific steps in the process. So first of all, you want to download your backlinks, and we use multiple sources for that. You want to dedupe your list because obviously if you're using multiple sources, you're going to have some duplication. You want to organize and sort by link value and metrics. And this actually helps us to prioritize which sites we're going to attack first. Try to determine the ratio of anchor text to your total links. And the ratio of anchor text, it should be brands and naked URLs. In a lot of cases, we find that it's just very specific, exact match anchor text that we find pointing back to our client sites. So you really want to try to figure out what your ratio of anchor text is. One of the most tedious parts of the process is to actually visually inspect the websites that are in your backlink portfolio. From that point, you want to, it's a decision point where you want to determine which sites need to be pruned or reclaimed. Then the actual process involves the Google piece where you do a disavow file, you file reconsideration, and then it's really an ongoing process from there because you want to always try to keep an analysis going of your backlink profile. And then finally, we always recommend that you write great content because that is the best way to improve your rankings in Google. So when you pull your backlinks, we actually use a bunch of different sources to do that. And we use Google Webmaster Tools, and that's actually probably your primary or first source. It's really simple. Just go to your Webmaster Tools, and there's a link on your left-hand rail. You can click on that, and you can actually export the backlinks that they've identified in a CSV file. Another resource that we use is Open Site Explorer. This is actually a really good tool. Not only can you get your backlinks, but there's a lot of other reports and a lot of information you can glean from Open Site Explorer. Majestic SEO will give you the most quantity in terms of backlinks by using this tool. Link Research Tools is actually a Semper tool, and we found that it's actually kind of a pricey tool to use, but it's got some really, really good reports that you can run. So another tool, which is actually kind of, it's a fairly new tool, ahrefs.com. They'll actually, just by putting in a URL, give you this really nice graphic report, and it's free to use. The stipulation, though, is if you want to export the information, it's a subscription-based service. So all the tools that I just mentioned, they give you opportunities to export the links via the CSV. And what you want to do is you want to take all of these lists and combine them into one document. And we use Excel, and Excel is a great tool. One of the first things that you want to do is dedupe your list. Excel has a dedupe feature in it. If you haven't used it before, it's really simple to use. You just highlight your row and follow the wizard to take the duplicated URLs out. You can also use a text-to-column tools. One of the things that we like to do is we like to identify the root URLs. And if you use the wizard, it actually uses a delimiter, and then the delimiter in this case is the /. So it actually will break up your entire spreadsheet and give you a nice column format with that root URL. So when you build your list and you have everything deduped and you've got your root URL in there, what is it that you're looking for? So you're looking for site-wide links and blog roll links. You're looking for obvious paid links, text ad links, sites that are no longer indexed in Google. You're looking for low-quality sites, and you're looking for sites that look like link-building sites. And I think for the most part, we know what those are. We know what those sites look like. You're looking for generic directory links. You're looking for forum comments. You're looking for bio links. You're looking for links on non-relevant sites. And this is a part of the update to the relevancy. That's going to become more and more important. You also want to look for sites that have content about Viagra, payday loans, casinos, and that kind of content. And again, you want to look for over-optimized anchor text. So really, you want to look for links that seem unnatural. Does the site look like it's built for link building? Does it look commercially viable? Really, what you want to do here is use common sense. If it looks paid or if it looks spammy to you, it's going to look that same way to Google. So generally speaking, these are the rules to follow. This is really what you're looking for when you're doing your analysis. One of the things that will really help you is if you look for site-wide links. And these are websites that, let's say that they have 100 pages, and on every single page of that site they have a link pointing to your site. If you remove these site-wide links, it actually affects your anchor text ratio greatly. So you can get some really high gain just by getting rid of sites that have site-wide links pointing to you. And again, you know, I kind of hit this quite a bit in terms of anchor text, but really a lot of webmasters have manipulated their rankings simply because they have links with exact match anchor text. And if you've gotten a penalty or if your rankings have dropped, chances are that you have really specific keywords that are pointing to your site. So decision time is after you have everything together, you want to make 4 choices. And the 4 choices that you have really are that you're going to take no action. And there's 2 components in the no action piece. If you look at a website in your visual inspection and the site is down or it's no longer functional, you don't really need to take any action in that particular case. The other no action is that you've actually found a really good link and it's something that you want to keep. So the other actions are really that to prune the link, to reclaim the link, or to actually no follow the link. So if you prune the link, it's because the site is bad. And by pruning the link, what you're going to do is outreach to the webmaster and ask for the link to be removed. So with reclamation, the site might be a really good site, but maybe the link is an exact match anchor text pointing back to you. So the action to take on that would be actually to contact the webmaster and ask them to put your brand name in, to put your naked URL in. That way you can keep the link juice, but the anchor text, that exact match, isn't going to skew your ratios. And then you may also have links pointing to you that produce referral traffic. And you want to keep the link, and one of the suggestions that we have in a lot of cases is just ask the webmaster for a no follow. And with that no follow link, Google knows for sure that you're not trying to manipulate rankings, but at the same time, you're actually getting really good referral traffic from that website. So the next step in the process is to actually look at all of the URLs and to actually do visual inspection. One of the tools that we use is this quick URL opener. And essentially all you do is cut and paste the URLs into this form, and you hit submit. And what the tool will do is open all of the URLs you put in there in tabs in either a Chrome or a Firefox browser. So it's a really good way to very quickly open the URLs, because you're going to be paging through those actually pretty quickly. The one thing to note, though, because you're opening all these browsers and you're going to have some other tools in there that you're going to use that I'll mention in just a second, you're going to be hitting Google on a pretty regular basis, and it's going to be pretty hard. So you may end up with the pushback from Google where you actually have to fill in a password, because if you hit them too many times sequentially, they'll push back on that. So one of the other things that we use a lot of is the Moz bar. The Moz bar is a really good tool because it gives you the domain authority, and it also tells you the links to root domain ratio on that particular site that you're looking at. The Moz bar is actually a subscription-based service. And then we also use SEO Quake, and we put that in our browser as a tool as well. This is a really nice tool because it gives you page rank, it gives you the number of pages indexed in Google, and then it also gives you social proof. So if you're looking at a website and something that potentially you want to keep, this tool is a really good indicator if there's a lot of social talk about that particular site. It's something that could sway you to actually keep the link in your profile. So let's look at a couple of websites and kind of talk through why you would keep these or why you would delete these from your backlink portfolio. On the surface, this site looks okay, but if you look at the top left-hand corner, it says top internet picks, and then on the top right-hand side, it says best software for your computer. But the first article is about a no diet book. So the indication here is that this site exists for link building purposes only, and you'll also note that the last post was made in May. This site is actually one of the sites that was probably a network site. It survived the blog apocalypse, but it's one of those sites that I think that will eventually lose its page rank, and it'll end up as just a hosting domain default page. So this is a site that we would recommend pruning. One of the other things that we recommend is that if you're going to use links on mommy blogger sites, that they're actually niche sites. This particular case, this mommy blogger, the last 5 posts she wrote were One was about music, one was about a new massage school in Chicago, one was about a photography school, one was about Alec Bradley cigars, and then the last one was about passports. And the fact of the matter is you can't be an expert about everything. And these are the kinds of sites that Google is looking for. These are sites you want to stay away from. If it's a generalist site where there's all kinds of different topics, stay away from it. But if it's a mommy blogger that has a health niche, or maybe it's a family niche, those are some of the things that you might want to consider as okay. You'll find this a lot. There are a lot of websites that actually are on your backlink list, but they've already been taken down. And this is just a hosting default page. There's really no action that you need to take on this. Really all you want to do is just document that the website is gone and that the website no longer exists. We also run into a lot of websites that look formatted, and they follow the same template design. And in some cases, there's a really good business reason for this. And this particular site is part of a network of sites that are geo-focused. But we like this site because it has syndicated writers, there's fresh content, there's a lot of activity going on in this particular website. The other part of it is, too, is that it has really good metrics. It's a page rank of 4, and it has a domain authority of 49. So in some cases on your backlink profile, a site like this might come up as suspicious or questionable, and in our particular case, we like these kinds of sites. And this is one of the reasons that you actually want to look at and take a visual inspection of everything, because the metrics will only tell you part of the story, and then once you look at the website, you can see if it's commercially viable and make a decision on whether or not you want to keep the site. One of the things that you'll discover, too, is that you'll have links from foreign language sites. And in some cases, you want to have a clue as to what the website is all about. But in other cases, just by looking at the images that you have, you'll be able to determine what the website is about and whether or not you want to keep this particular site. So these are just a couple of examples of websites and whether you want to keep them or not. If we had a lot more time, I could show you a whole bunch more. But let's go to the actual pruning process. So let's say that you've determined which links are the bad links. The documentation is really important here. You want to track everything that you do because some of the information you're going to include in the disavow, and then some of the other information you'll include in the reconsideration. So in your links list, hopefully you've got the root URL, you've got the anchor text, and you actually have the landing page where you know your link exists. This is really good information. It's something that you need in the pruning process. So part of that pruning process is the two things I just mentioned, but you also want to find the contact us information on the website. You want to craft an email. You want to send that email. You want to do a couple of follow-ups with the webmaster, and then, again, you want to make sure that you document your results. So how do you find the contact information? There's a lot of tools out there. You can use Whois. GoDaddy has a really nice Whois feature. There are a bunch of other ones, whois.sc. There's a lot of tools. If you just Google Whois, you can find tools to help you find email addresses. This is a tool that we found. It's actually, you just plug your domain in there, and it'll search the site and help you find the email address. So if you can't find the contact info, just document that, and you'll include that in your reconsideration request. So actually getting to the actual email itself, what you want to do when you reach out to webmasters to prune links or to reclaim links, you want to be professional, you want to be polite. Remember, they really have nothing to gain by taking their time, trouble, and effort to remove your link. So just let them know that it's a Google removal request, and this is really just a quick sample. We wish to thank you for linking to X website. Unfortunately, it's come to our attention that this link is against Google Webmaster Guidelines. It's important for us to bring our site into compliance. Please remove our link. So the email that you send out could be as simple as that. Depending on the volume of emails that you need to send out, you may want to do those manually, or you may want to use services and software like MailChimp. There's also Constant Contact, Vertical Response, Send Blaster. Any of those tools will help you organize your outreach and help you just really make the process quicker and easier and faster. One of the tools that we discovered is removeem.com. We've actually used this a couple of times. It's a pretty good tool, but don't expect it to be totally automated, because there really isn't anything that's going to automate this process completely. This is actually the most tedious part of the process. And once you start sending things out, what can you expect as response from webmasters? Well, the most common response is actually no response. Next to that, you might get really quick, simple one-word responses. For example, this one just says done. Oftentimes we'll get a note like this, or we'll get a note with another response that just says removed. Additionally, you'll get requests for payment. And this actually seems to be something that is increasingly happening. And this note just says, as it uses our time, we no longer do this for free. And then this example is actually someone who's asking $100 to have a link removed. So the thing that you don't want to do is, I wouldn't pay for any link removal, at least not at this point. Just you want to make a note of this, because you might want to include that in your reconsideration request. So now that we've actually done the pruning process, we've done outreach to webmasters, we've done it a number of times, we've recorded responses, and we really have a good idea that we've done our due diligence, we get to the disavow tool. And early on, when the disavow tool was announced, there was actually a lot of talk about whether we should use this or not. And I think that it's proven out, at least recently, that this is really a good tool to use, and that it can help you get out of a penalty. And we know that Matt Cutts thinks it's a really good idea. And if he's heading up the web spam team and he thinks it's a good idea, I think you could feel really confident that this is something that you need or should do. So what you want to do is you want to upload a file through your webmaster tools for your disavow file. And it's got to be a .txt file that you create. And the parameters, you're going to include a hashtag for any text notation. And then you'll do domain : to remove an entire domain. And in this particular case, it would be for like a site-wide link that you have. And then finally, you can isolate specific links just by using the whole URL string. So that's what you want to include. And then this is actually a line-by-line sample. So the top part with the hashtag is a text notation. And then you can see the domain : and then the actual URLs that we have in the actual text file. So if you download the slides after the webinar, all of this is available. The other thing too is, as I put this together, all of those tools that I showed you earlier have links to them. So it should be really simple for you to actually go through the slide presentation again, and then just click on the slides, and it'll take you to the website where those tools and services are. So once you submit your disavow text file, you should get a success result here. So that just shows you that your file was accepted successfully. So the next part is to actually do a reconsideration request. And one of the things that I recommend, if you're going to do this by yourself, is to actually watch the reconsideration videos that they have in Webmaster Tools. Because one of the things that you want to make sure that you understand is there are actually people who are going to read your reconsideration request, and they're going to look through your documentation. So if you know that going into it and you know what they're looking for, there's a better chance that your reconsideration request is going to be accepted. So make sure you watch the video. You know, Rachel and Brian are two of the people that actually did the video. These are the actual people that are going to be looking at your reconsideration request. So I think it's really important that you know that. The elements of the reconsideration request, you want to tell Google that you reviewed their quality guidelines. You want to tell them that you've cleaned up your backlink portfolio. And then you want to explain to Google what you've done to clean things up. And that's why you have the spreadsheet. That's why you've done your due diligence and the documentation within that spreadsheet. You want to let them know that you've performed outreach. This is the due diligence part. And you've really done the best job that you can to get bad links taken down. Let them know what you were able to accomplish, and you can give them some specific details on that. You might want to say of 2,000 links, we were able to take 600 down. Tell them that you made mistakes. I don't know if you want to, it's contrition or you're making confessions, but at the same time, you can say, hey, we fell outside your guidelines. We can appreciate that, and moving forward, you know, we'll make sure that we toe the line and make sure the terms of service are adhered to. Be professional in your tone. Obviously, you don't want to be nasty. You want to just say, you know, hey, we realized we had some problems. We cleaned it up, and, you know, here's what we've done. And then you might also want to tell them what you're going to do moving into the future. You know, say things like we're going to really focus on content and really adding good content to our website. So those are the elements of reconsideration. One component of that reconsideration request should be a link to a Google Doc that you set up. Know that anyone from Google isn't going to click a link to your website or click a link somewhere else that might download malware. What they're going to do, if you put this on a Google Doc, that will just give them a really good indication of all of your due diligence, the things that you've done. What we like to do is give them the domain. We have an info column where we say, yeah, there was no contact information, or maybe the links have been removed, or maybe the webmasters requested payment for removal. So this is just really a good place to show that documentation that you've done. So then you go back to your webmaster tools. If you have multiple websites, there's a drop-down. Make sure you select the right website. And then there's a form field where you actually put in your content. And that's what your reconsideration request is. If you Google reconsideration requests, there are a lot of samples out there that will give you some really good ideas on what to say and how to say it. The web spam team in their videos, they also give you really good documentation on what to do and you know, how to put things together. We also have a lot of questions from clients and potential clients, and I see a lot of comments, you know, when I go to different websites about the actual validity of doing this process. And I can tell you very specifically that we've had clients that we've done this process with, and we've had manual penalties removed, and we've had rankings bounce back up. And you'll find recently that there are a lot more case studies out there. In particular, this SEO Whiz, I read this just a few days ago. They actually have screenshots of traffic and how it's bounced back, and then they give the iterations and steps that they've done and how quickly sites have recovered. So there is actually proof out there, proof from us and proof from other people that are doing this process that it actually works. So if your manual penalty is rescinded, you'll actually get notice of that in your webmaster tools. If that happens, I think it's time to have a party and celebrate. And then just know that we've all built bad links, and really it's time to stop doing that. But also note that link building, it actually still works. So a lot of the tactics that we've used in the past, like article marketing and commenting, posting content in networks, and getting those site-wide and blog rule links, that used to work, but it doesn't any longer. But tactics that do work are earned links, guest blogging, reclaiming links on sites that you're already using, and then actually building resource pages that people want to link to. And really what it all comes down to is great content works better. So build really good content on your site, add it often, use a variety of formats, text, graphics, photos, video. Earn your links. And I think if you earn your links, you won't be in a position where you actually have to do pruning. Those new links will help boost your rankings and boost your website traffic. So the final thing, just make sure that you know what the web spam team is up to, because they announce way ahead of time in most cases what they're focusing on. And they give you a pretty good heads up. So we knew for a long time that they were going to start really ratcheting down on web spam. And the fact that Penguin is in its 4th iteration really just tells us that what they say is they're going to do it. We don't know exactly when they're going to do it, but if you follow what Matt Cutts and the web spam team is up to, it'll give you a really good heads up and help prepare you for what's coming. So with that, do we have any questions?
Yes, we have quite a few, so we can jump right in. I've got a couple about kind of the reconsideration requests in terms of algorithm penalties and manual penalties. So one of our questions is from Sean. He said, I've read that Penguin is an algorithmic penalty and that a reconsideration request should not be done since it's not a manual penalty by Google. You're saying that we should use a reconsideration request? If we are certain that our site has a Penguin penalty, how do we know what to do?
Well, what I put initially up there in terms of trying to determine what penalty is actually affecting your website, I think that's really an important thing to consider. And I also said early on in the presentation, too, that Penguin will affect your site if you have bad links and you have over-optimized anchor text. But it may not be to the degree that it's actually triggered a manual penalty. So the process is exactly the same for both until you get to the disavow tool and the reconsideration request. So for example, if your rankings have dropped and you think it's because of Penguin, you can actually go through the pruning, reclamation, and the no-follow portion of it, making sure that you document everything. And at that point, you can just do that and then wait for the next Google refresh to see if that pulls you out of the penalty. And if it doesn't, then you might want to consider doing the disavow. But you don't have to do the disavow and the reconsideration request unless you have a manual penalty. That's the difference.
Okay, that makes sense then. We also have a couple questions just about the number of links. I've had a few people say, you know, I have 25,000 links. How do I prioritize? And then I also have a question that says I run an affiliate program, and affiliates have thousands of links to my site. For example, one affiliate has over 6,000 links pointing to my site. Is this bad, and how do I even move forward?
Okay, those are actually both really good questions. I think on the affiliate side, most affiliates could probably very easily do quick no-follows on their affiliate links that point back to you. So in that case where you have 6,000 links, they're those links that are actually getting you traffic. So you want to keep those links, but just have them drop a no-follow tag in it, and that will pretty much take care of any problems with that. In terms of the volume of sites, that's problematic. You know, we've had people that built website templates and they gave those away for free, and people built websites and they have thousands and thousands of links pointing to their website. So it really, you know, you may have a small problem, you may have a big problem. In terms of what the volume is, it's going to take you some time. Some of our clients, it takes a few days to clean up their backlink portfolio, and some people it takes weeks just because of the volume of work. Part of that question, though, was about prioritizing. One of the things that we look at, and I had mentioned it early on, is trying to identify site-wide links. So you may have 10,000 links, but there may be some sites that have 2,000 or 3,000 links on their website pointing to you, and if you get rid of those, just think of the volume of links that you're actually taking away. So prioritize by site-wide links. The next step, my priority would be websites that have really low PR and really low domain authority, because those potentially are the ones that are causing problems. And if you go kind of in reverse order for the lowest to the highest PR, get rid of site-wides, and then get rid of the worst links that are out there, and then just move up until you're actually into websites that are commercially viable and ones that you want to keep.
Great. Then we have a question about the actual reconsideration request itself. Do you know how long one should expect a response from Google on those?
It typically takes a couple of weeks to get a response. And I think that one of the things that our viewers could do is actually go to that SEO Whiz post, because there are a number of case studies in there, and they'll show you the variation. So in some cases it was as quick as 7 days where they came out of a penalty, and in other cases they had to file the reconsideration request a couple of times. Because realize that Google can see all of the links, backlinks that you can see, and let's say that you have 5,000 backlinks, but you only really work on a few hundred, they're going to know that, and they're going to know which ones have been removed and pruned. So they really want to see that you've done your due diligence and that you've really done a good job of trying to prune the bad links out of your profile.
Mm-hmm. We have another question from Dave. It asks how Vertical Measures is doing things. So he says, is Vertical Measures still building links with rich anchor text, or are you now only using branded links? What is safe nowadays?
Actually, that varies depending on our client. What we do is we actually do a link building strategy for each client that we bring aboard, and part of it is based on the richness of the content that they have on their website. Part of it is, where are they now? How many links do they have? What is their anchor text ratio? Because in some cases we might want to build exact match because it's a real low ratio. But for the most part, we are using branded terms. We are using naked URLs, and we're using a lot of long tail anchor text to support link building efforts. But again, in each particular case, it's a little bit different based on where our client is and the kind of content that they have. Because obviously, if you have really good content, it's linkable and it attracts links. And if the content that you have is kind of mediocre, it makes it a little bit more difficult to acquire links. So everybody's a little bit different.
Okay. Well, I think that's all the time we have for questions. I know there are a lot more, so we'll try to get those answered afterwards via email. And also, everyone's been asking about recording, and you'll all get a video, and we'll definitely send out the slides so you guys can go over this and find all the resources within it. So I just want to thank you, Mike. Thanks for joining and sharing all of your information, too. I think that's all the time we have, so thanks, everyone, for coming. And please mark your calendar for our next webinar. It's Thursday, August 8th, where Arnie Ken, our president, will be speaking on the topic, how to discover hundreds of powerful, low-cost content ideas for your business. This is a really great topic. We're doing it actually as a process within Vertical Measures right now, getting new topic ideas for our blog and content pieces, and Arnie has a really great way of breaking down the process. So that'll be kind of another step-by-step process like this. So thanks, everyone, and we'll be in touch with a follow-up most likely tomorrow. Have a great one.
Thank you.
Bye.